Whether you believe in ghosts or not, you have to admit there's been some very disturbing evidence of the paranormal caught on camera or video. Join us as we have a look at the creepiest ghost sightings ever caught on camera. Knocking in at number 10 is a nightmare that's right up near the top of the fear list, alongside spiders and clowns. It's a doll. And not just any doll, but a haunted puppet. This marionette from hell was taken into custody by a paranormal investigator by the name of Jane Harris when he was accused of choking his previous owner in the middle of the night. Cautious of the deadly reputation of the puppet, Jane would place the doll in a glass box, which is well known for dampening the power of haunted items, right? And then trained a camera on it. Her plan was just to simply wait as long as she possibly had to in order to snap a picture of the supposedly cursed paranormal doll. A whole 3 months would go by for her to wait in order to capture the footage that will forever make our blood run cold. The doll actually moved. Now, it's obvious from the picture that it moved. However, some have claimed that Harris did this herself and merely moved the doll and restarted the footage when she needed to. The Antique Shop Ghost. Creeping in at number 9 is a ghost who spends his time terrorizing the workers and shoppers alike at an antique store on Prince Arthur Street in Barnsley, in the UK. Shop owner Danny Parker claims that in the short first year that they were open, there were a recorded 50 incidents of mischief. Things like falling picture frames, orbs floating around, and destroyed displays. Parker himself even witnessed what he would call an apparition, and the ghost wasn't exactly shy about terrorizing the customers. The entire story might have been considered to be hearsay if it weren't for the fact that nearly every single paranormal occurrence was caught on closed-caption television footage. It all leads people to wonder if it's real or if it's just done for promotional purposes via digital technology in order to get more shoppers into the store. Could the shop owner possibly be faking the whole thing to boost sales? Well, they do say that the camera doesn't lie. A pub poltergeist. Now, smashing into our spot at number 8 is a restaurant/pub in Bridgnorth, Shropshire, in the UK, with a long history of paranormal activity. When manager Nick Bevan showed up for work at the Bassa Villa one Saturday morning, he would be surprised to find glass shattered all over the counter of the bar. He and his co-workers got the shock of their lives after reviewing the security footage from the night before. As the story goes, at some point in the 16th or 17th century, 2 children were playing hide-and-seek in the basement when it would flood. The flood would trap them inside and doom them to their deaths. Rumor has it that these events have been going on for more than 10 years, and that the mother of the 2 children haunts the place, even to this day. Video Store Ghost. Toppling into the number 7 spot is a serious blast from the past. Now, apparently Blockbuster is so old that it's become haunted, or at least one of their stores in Mexico has. The company achieved internet fame when a clip surfaced of an unseen force that was knocking DVDs off the shelves. This was not the only reported case of otherworldly happenings, though. And the eerie, purposeful intent of the ghost's actions, combined with the man's genuinely terrified reaction, certainly seemed to verify the video's authenticity. All that being said, it's well known that supernatural happenings can prolong the popularity of an establishment, and no company was going out at the time quite like Blockbuster was. Was it a hoax that was concocted as a last resort of a dying franchise? Or maybe it was just a bored ghost, angry because his copy of Jingle All the Way, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, was out of stock. The Manchester Poltergeist. While most Manchester residents and online paranormal fanatics believe it to be the work of a poltergeist, or a ghost of some sort, paranormal investigator Scott McKinnon is convinced that the 2012 footage is what he calls a well-executed fake. Plenty of people have watched the footage, including those who work in the building, and they are adamant that it's actually real and is Manchester's most haunted office block. It is actually hard to tell who is in the right because many believe that the chair was somehow kicked or pushed by someone under the table. Some others believe that it's possible that the office workers executed this themselves by tying fishing wire or thin strings to the chair and then simply yanking it, causing the chair to move. However, nobody would be able to tell because of the low quality of the video. Hotel ghost attack. Piling in at number 5 is an aggressive ghost who flexes its non-corporal muscles at what's believed to be a hotel in Malaysia. Now, admittedly, when you see someone on their cell phone at a restaurant, you almost wish you could teach them a lesson, but that would be rude and you might just get arrested if you try. But apparently, poltergeists don't share the same level of restraint. Though it may be a bit of an understatement for the entity in this closed-caption television footage of what appears to be the hotel's dining room. Actually, demonic is probably a more appropriate way to describe the attack on the woman sitting at the empty table with her face in her phone. For many, the mystery that surrounds the location of the clip, along with the extreme intensity of the attack, place doubt on the authenticity of the footage, while others maintain that if it is a fake, it's certainly a very convincing one. Wires might have been able to make the chair slide, but nothing short of full-on CGI is going to make one fly across the room to pile on top of one another. The Hampton Court Ghost. Bursting in at number 4 is an infamous one, the Hampton Court Ghost. Built in the 1500s for Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, the building is a place with a long history of both good and bad. For 2 nights, an alarm would go off with sensors indicating that a particular door into the courtyard had been opened. Security would rush to the scene only to find the doors closed and not a soul in sight. Security cameras would offer little more than further frustration. That's when the watchman would run to check the door that they found once again was actually closed. Annoyed and perhaps a little freaked out, they then went back and set themselves to what they believed was the futile task of reviewing the footage. But cameras going and coming inside of the building would show absolutely nothing. However, when they checked the one pointing at the door from the courtyard, what they saw would make their blood run cold. This ghostly figure is now being heralded as one of, if not the most definitive amounts of evidence of life after death. The Theatre Ghost. Slinking into 3rd place on our list is the Brookside Theatre in Romford, Essex in the UK. When the clip would be released, the theater manager maintained that there have been a number of stranger occurrences in the building that have been experienced by both the actors and the paying customers alike. But he was quick to point out that nothing so far had been quite as mind-blowing as what was captured on footage around 4:15 a.m. on the 27th of July in 2014. It does seem a little impossible, but the footage does appear to have captured the appearance of a ghost or a paranormal entity of some sort. What's even more strange about this ghost being caught on camera is that the incident occurred only a few hours after a psychic had left the stage. Could it have been a leftover echo of a spirit who'd still been unable to speak their piece? Some internet doubters believe that it's faked for the publicity of the psychic, but others believe that this found footage is a true sighting of a ghost. A ghost watches a riding lesson. Trotting into number 2 is perhaps one of the least likely ghost sightings on our list. Janet Emmett and her daughter were enjoying a brisk Saturday morning lesson at a horseback riding school in Kent in the UK, while her husband filmed them from the sidelines. Now, at the time of the lesson, nothing really seemed out of the ordinary. It was a bright and cheerful morning. The pair seemed to be enjoying themselves, but it wasn't until Janet went ahead and reviewed the footage later that she would notice something positively hair-raising in the background, or more appropriately, someone. Now, what makes this footage so unique is both the fact that it was broad daylight and the discernible facial features of the ghost himself. Janet swears up and down that there was no one standing there on the actual day of the lesson, and the horses really seem to ignore the figure completely. Could it have been a dummy that was put up to test the horses' focus on their riders? Perhaps an edited-in figure with CGI? Or a real-life apparition just out enjoying watching others live interact with these beautiful animals? The Screaming Woman in 209. Terrorizing her way into the top spot of our list of creepy ghosts caught on camera is the famed security footage from what is clearly a haunted Wingate hotel in Illinois. Staff were reportedly receiving a number of complaints from justifiably worried and angry guests concerning the non-stop blood-curdling screams that were coming from the second floor. Hotel security would be sent to investigate the cause of all of the commotion and tell the lady to cool it down. But that's when things would get downright hair-raising. When they were on their way up to the room, the front desk would inform them that the room was, in fact, supposed to be unoccupied at the time. Now, supposedly, it wasn't the first case of strange noises that had been reported coming from room 209, though it's the only known incident to ever be captured on footage. What is undeniably true is that if it's real, that security guy has a serious pair of cojones. You couldn't get me to go into that room for $1 million. The SS Valencia. The SS Valencia was an American steamship, and it met its fate on January 20th of 1906 off the coast of Pachena Bay. The ship left with 157 passengers headed toward Vancouver Island and made its voyage safely, but upon its return trip, it was tragedy. As it sailed off the coast of Pachena Bay, the ship would